Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Dara Taylor. So today I'm going to be teaching you how to draft a Queen Anne's neckline and also how to draft a basic bodice pattern. So the first thing you're going to do, this is the front that I'm working with currently. I folded it into two. So to determine my front size, I'm going to be using the bust measurements divided by 4. Why? Because it's folded into 4 and this is 10 inches. You're going to use the one that is bigger. The bust circumference is obviously bigger than the waist circumference, so that is why I'm using the bust circumference, and it's giving me 10 inches. 10 times 4, which is folded into 4, the bust span is 40. Sorry, the bust circumference is 40. So then I went ahead to add my 3 inches allowance. So this is what is going to determine the front size, how it's going to be. So that is just how to mark out and draft out a front size of your basic bodies. You could use this pattern or this way to draft out a skirt, a gown, or anything. You use the one that is bigger. If you are drafting out a gown, it's going to be the hips that is bigger, so you're going to be dividing it by 4, the hips measurement. So I went on to mark out my half length, which was 15 inches. That was what I marked out over that area. My half length, which was 15 inches, that was what I marked out. So I just went on to cut out everything. So the bust span, sorry, the bust circumference, I don't know why I'm saying bust span, is 10 inches, added 3 inches allowance, making it was 13 inches. So this is the back that I have here. I just marked out, I cut out a random material. I placed it on top of it, the front on top of it, and obviously it's going to have a zip allowance. So your zip allowance wideness should be about 1 inch to 1.5 inch, but this is 1 inch. This is just an illustration. I'm not going to be sewing this. So I place it on top, as you guys can see, and I'm just going to be cutting it out. So after cutting it out, this is what it's looking like. So here we have the back and then we have the front. So I'm just going to mark that side with my chalk and name it A, which means my zipper allowance. So then for the neck, for the shoulder wideness, I marked out 7 inches. So 7 inches, the original shoulder wideness is 15 inch. You divide it by 2. That's how you get your shoulder wideness. So I'm going to be making a shoulder slope. I came down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. So you always come down by 1 inch for your shoulder slope. From that place, from under the shoulder slope, I came down by 7 inch to mark out my armhole area. 7 inch is the standard armhole area measurement, but if the person is fat, you can use 7.5 or 8 inch. I then connected the line together. As you guys can see, I connected the line together. That's what you're supposed to do. Then I'm going to be making a slope between these two to connect the line. So that is going to form my original armhole area, right? It's not going to be four corner, it's just going to be curved like this. So you guys can see how I curved it out. You guys can see that, right? So the next thing we're going to do is to mark out the neck wideness. So I'm working with 3.5 inch now. So you can use 3.5 inch. 3.5 inch is okay. So I marked out 3.5 inch, and this is going to be for the front and the back. 3.5 inch. I came down by 1 inches for the back of the bodice. So the back of the bodice, I'm measuring out 1 inch. So this is it, 1 inch. You guys can see, for this is the back. I just place it at the front because it does not matter. I'm going to cut it out. So the next thing I'm going to do for my Queen Anne's neckline, I marked out 4.5 inch. You can come down by 4.5 inch or 5.5 inch, but it should be between these two. And then for my neck deepness, for the front, I measured out 7 inches. You guys can see I measured out 7 inch. Remember, the 4.5 inch and the 7 inches is totally different, and I'm going to show you guys why it's different. So the next thing I did is to connect my shoulder slope together. This is what is going to form a shoulder slope. The next thing I'm going to do is to measure out the wideness of the shoulder slope, and it's giving me 4.5 inch. You guys can see where I started my measurement from, and I divided that 4.5 inch into 2, and it was giving me 2 and some few inches. So from this area, from this shoulder area, you guys can see where I marked out my 4.5 inch. That point, I'm going to mark out the 2 and some few inches. I'm going to be marking it out. You saw how I marked it out over there, right? And then I'm going to be connecting this line together from this point to that point, from this point, guys, to the area where I marked out the 2 and some few inch. You guys can see where I connected the lines together. You can see. Then I'm also going to be forming a sweetheart neck over this side from that point to this 7 inch point. you can see how I made it. It's not really hard. The Queen Anne's neckline is not hard. So you guys can see how I connected it together, right? You can see how I connected it together. So I'm going to be marking out my bust circumference, which comes directly below my armhole area, and my bust circumference is 10 inches. Why is it 10 inches? Because the bust is 40 divided by 4 because this fabric is folded into 4, and for my waist circumference is 8 inches. It was divided by 4 also, and I'm connecting the lines together. As you can see, I connected the lines together. That's what you just do. You connect the lines of the bust circumference to the line of the waist circumference together. Then for my allowance, I added 3.5 inch at the at the bust point, and at my waist point I'm also adding the same side of allowance, which is 3.5 inch, and I connected it together also. The next thing we are going to do is to open up our zip allowance area. Whenever you make a zipper allowance, you always open it up. So I use my scissors to open it up. So we're just going to go ahead to cut out all that we have drafted out. First of all, we're going to be cutting out the neck, the back of the neck. You guys can see the way I'm cutting it right out. Like, okay, so we've cut out the neck, and the next thing is to cut out the Queen Anne's neckline. So starting from the sweetheart that we cut out to the slanted area, we are just going to be cutting the excesses out. So this is how to cut it out. So we're going to go ahead to cut out our measurement, our body measurement. So I'm just drafting it out. You guys can see I'm cutting it out from the allowance area. So that is where I'm cutting it, going over to the armhole measurements, the armhole area. We are cutting it from that slant. You guys can see, not through the four corner area. That was the essence of the slant we made, right? So I'm just going to continue cutting, and then I'm going to be cutting out my shoulder slope area also, which is very important. So you also cut out that area, this shoulder slope area, you cut it out. So guys, if you're watching this video and you have not subscribed or liked this video, please do go ahead now and click the subscribe button, and also like and turn on your notification bell so that you'll be the first to know whenever I post. And if you have any questions, just put them on the comment section. If you have anything asking me about what I did here, about this tutorial, if you have any question about this, I'll be willing and ready to answer you. So you guys have seen what the Queen Anne's neckline is looking like right now, right? So I'm just going to be connecting the back, showing you how to connect it. So you're just going to place it there and connect it through the shoulder area. And I also brought out the other one, and I'm also going to be connecting it through the shoulder area. So I'll be using my chalk to mark down the area that you are supposed to connect. So that is all for this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. See you on my next tutorial.